Diamond level analysis of Walpurga versus bnbgrs. Something like that. Alright, well, let's take a look. So, to start off, so far, this is very standard. But this gas is a bit early if you are going with my build. You generally wouldn't take the gas this early unless you were going up to something very high-tech and gas-heavy, such as Cloaked Banshees. But that's not going to be a big deal in this game, I don't think. This depot is also a bit early, because then that means your command center is going to be delayed when you try to build it. And considering how your opponent actually went triple hatchery before pool, which is a very greedy and economic opener, and how he has literally his only workers at this moment, the wall don't really need that this early into the game. So you see it will take a bit longer to put down your expansion because of that early wall. But that's okay, you put it down right now, which isn't too bad still. So you need to continue producing workers after the orbital finishes. And that gas is okay, this factory is okay, this reactor is okay. So a bit of a difference in the build order, which isn't most optimal given what you're going against, but it's not the biggest of the problem. This is also a bit early, which if you were building your workers like right as soon as the orbital finished, and you were building like everything according to the build, you wouldn't have the money for this supply depot at this point, but it's not a huge deal. That's how, like, you notice how missing a few workers really pile up on your money over time. Because if you notice in the build I gave you, you wouldn't have nearly the money to get this supply depot this early if you were doing everything. But that's not a huge problem. Make sure you get the orbital here as soon as it finishes, because mules are actually a huge part of your income. Got the tech lab making tanks. This is good. This starport also good. This gas a bit early. You will find that you're gonna pile up on gas and be low on minerals if you were producing everything optimally. But if you get this gas this early. But you actually get the reactor right away, so that's actually kind of okay, because you also get the upgrade. That's actually kind of okay actually, because you decide to go for early upgrade, so this gas is slightly acceptable, considering that you wanted to go for early upgrade rather than early marines. So around this time, make sure you are continuing to build supply depots and adding in more production. You're still on 1 racks, but you could have up to either 3 racks or an expansion going up at this point. And you see that your money is piling up, even though you are producing out of everything. That's when you know you have to add more racks, or when you have to add more production. So this is going up, that's good. But you can still afford more, okay, that's good. So, doing really well, actually. But since you did delay it a bit, your money is still very high, so could probably afford to get another command center at this point. Alright, there we go. So you see your money is still getting very high. Missing a few production cycle from this and this, and you could be starting your next upgrade, but mainly make sure you're adding up to 8 more racks, up to 8. Because once you have 2 base and then go up to 3 base, you find that your money will suddenly spike up really high. So that's when you need to start adding. And that's why you have 2k right now, because you spike because you reached the 2 base, but you didn't add the barracks early enough to support it to be good for the 2 base. And you also cancel your CC, which is kind of bad. So queue up all your Marines here, but you're not producing from here, which is not efficient. When you just have too much money, add production instead of queuing up all this so much, because you're not Zerg, so queuing up doesn't really benefit you. So now your CC's going down. This is good. Actually, I want to see something I missed. At 5:30, we should definitely check on your SCV count, and you're at 38, which is actually really good at this level. And we see that you are slightly ahead in supply, which means you are out macroing him, which is also good. 38 SCV at 5:30 is actually pretty decent, because that's about how much I used to get at Diamond level with harassment. But right now you're not doing any harassment, which is okay, but it's still a good number to get. So we see at the 7:30 mark, your SCV count is a bit low. You could probably, I mean, I got up to 56. You're at 47. But that's probably because you stopped producing for a bit. Maybe because you see that it's saturated. But you should be producing anyway, especially when you have this much money. Because once, because even though it's saturated, once this expansion goes up, you can transfer all your SCVs over instantly, and it saves a lot of time rather than just not producing. Because you're not producing your army at this moment anyway, so we'll keep producing the SCV. And even if you were producing all your army, then that could be a reason to cut SCV, but then that's when it becomes like an all-in rather than a macro game. Stim is going up. This is good. This is good. Double starport? Choosing to go double starport, that's okay too. Okay, now I see your extra barracks are coming up. It's a bit late, so you have a lot of money, but it's better late than never. So we see that your rally points are all on here now. Now see it. Now if you had all your SCVs being produced, you could transfer a bunch over. And this would be at 6 down to 16 instantly. So you're not maxed out yet, which is okay. But 126 is not too bad at 9 minutes. But I would still try to aim for 150 by 9 minutes. If you can get to that, then you're actually doing really well. But right now you're still doing pretty good. But I would say that's just what you should aim for on the next try. So this circular is actually macroing really hard. It has creep spread everywhere. But his macro is not good. He has so much minerals. He could be maxed out by now in attack. But he has but that's because he opens with 3 hatch before pools. That's really economical. And you forgot to build SCVs for a bit, so this space isn't saturated. Otherwise, you should have more units than this as well. That's why your money is low right now, because you are producing, which is really good. But at the same time, your economy could be better. So, but one step at a time. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 barracks, 2 starport, 1 factory, quadruple upgrades. So this is actually really good infrastructure. Actually, no, this is going to be 8, 9. This is going to be 10 barracks. This is really good infrastructure actually. Yeah, your infrastructure setup is really good. Just remember to produce your SCV so you can support your infrastructure. That's the only thing right now. Whereas for him, he has a very huge economy, but he's not producing too well. And you're producing really well, but your economy's not too well. So you guys are like the opposite at this moment. So you guys pretty much attack when you guys are both maxed out. So there's no macro advantage given here. So now it just becomes who can remax faster. And given that he has better economy, in theory he should be able to remax faster. But his production isn't great. So, and given that you added these extra barracks for production, which means you should have an advantage in remax. Not necessarily though, because Zerg is really good in remax, but you should do good in remax. So let's see. He borrows his banelings. I don't know if you see that. It's just a troll move, I guess. Just trolled you. Which is kind of Walp. But not would be game ending, but I think you're doing pretty well still. Let's see here. So siege per tanks, infestors. That's a lot of AoEs going down. But let's see. You are still producing. He is just teching. Well, he definitely has a lot of AoE there. Those were some huge AoEs, and you'll probably not want to have to deal with this later. But we noticed that he's actually not making anything, and you are. So that means you're doing just fine right now. But then he's guiding Ultralisk out, which will probably be a problem, given that Ultralisks are such a good unit. Some Infestor harass. Not the biggest of deals. So now at 17 minutes, you want to make sure that you probably should have at least 2 more bases, because look, your main is mined out. Your natural is only on gas, and you're down to 29 SCV because of harass, which is okay, but you should be taking this base, killing this overlord, and probably taking this base, killing this overlord, or alternatively taking this base, killing this overlord. But you should not be on 3 bases at 17 minutes, because your economy is not going to be able to support your infrastructure anymore. It's not borrowed infestor harass, so you have to be producing your SCVs all over again, which is kind of annoying. So let's see. You kill this rock, take out the overlord. Do you fly your CC over? Because you could, instead of making another CC, fly your CC from your main or natural over to this place. That is something that you could do. And he has this army here just idling. He is too focused on harass, which tends to be a theme at a lower level. So we see you take a really good engagement here, but of course he is Zerg, So he instantly remaxes on Ultralisk. But now he's going to be in pure Ultralisk soon, I think. Some failing harassment here, putting that to 13 SCV. And Ultralisks are really good units. But well, those infestors. And UGG. But he left the game. Okay then. Well, he left the game. But you GG'd. I don't know what to say to this. Alright. That is alright. So, let's just see. Technically, like I said again, if you were maxing out at 9 minutes, like right now, look at what he has. He has 130 supply, some infestor, but definitely something that you can A move into if you had maxed out. So that is something you could choose to work on, of course. So that is something you could choose to focus more on maxing out at 9 minutes, which would mean you should add your infrastructure, you should add your barracks sooner, you add your infrastructure sooner, make sure you're not supply blocking, and make sure your expansion is up a bit earlier. So that is one thing you could work on, which I would recommend you work on, because if you did max out 9 minutes, this is definitely something that you could A move into, and even if we waited all the way until 10 minutes, it's a bit harder, but you could probably still A move into this. So, let's look at when you actually do attack. Is around 13 minutes. Now, actually no, you attacked a bit earlier, you lost a bunch to his Baneling landmines, which is kind of a troll tactic that Zergs can do. But now, late game Zerg is pretty scary, because they have so many infestors and banelings and ultralisks. So if you're going to do a late game attack with Zerg, it will be significantly harder than attacking at 9 minutes, like I said. Because at 9 minutes, if at the silver level, or even the gold level, if you are maxed out and he probably wouldn't be, then you could probably just roll over him at 9 minutes. But since you did not do that, you are now at 12 minutes and he is also maxed out, so this is going to be significantly harder for you to take your engagement. So we see here that he moves in with a bunch of banelings. So something you might want to do is to make sure that you're not running your army before your tank, because that engagement could be better if your army was up in range of your tank support. Then you probably could have lost a lot less, because your army was dead and then your tank siege up, and then your tank is dead because it was too late. So your engagement could have been better there. But once again, if you were trying to do the A move thing at 9 minutes, then you need to hit the 200 supply, which you could have done, because he was only at 100 supply at 9 minutes. So that is another thing that that's a secondary thing you could do. You could take a look at, is to make sure you're not outrunning your tanks. A third thing is make sure you're taking your economics, getting your economy up. So this is mined out, should have a base here by now. This is mined out soon, should have a base being started by now. So then that way, even though you lose your entire army, we noted that his production isn't the best. So that means even if you lost your army, you could still resupply with a bunch more unit, so it wouldn't be so bad, at least. But we see here that you actually run out of money because you're only on pretty much one base mining at this point. Like 4 here, 6 here. So you're not going to be able to utilize your full production because you're not going to have the money to get your army back, to get all of your units back up. So that is the third thing you could look into. And then from here on, I would say you probably already lost simply because he has this base, and he has this base, and you don't have this base, and you don't have this base. So you're going to have to do a lot of catching up, but you don't get to it because he does this harassment, which the only reason he can afford to do is because he's already maxed out. Otherwise, he probably would have he would probably also lose a lot of production cycles as a response. Another thing that could have gone better was your very first engagement, was if you got into the habit of scanning to kill creep. Because, I'm not sure if you know, but creep gives the opponent vision. If we check his side, we see that he actually can see all of this. Like, he can actually see when you move out. So, let's go to the point where you move out. So you see, he can actually see your army. All the way here. But you can't really see his. Like, he can see all of this because he has all of these creep structures here. So one thing you could start getting into the habit of when facing Zerg is when you walk onto creep, do a scan, kill all of these. And then if you had done that scan, you would see all of these banelings and you could have killed them. So that is one thing that you should get into the habit of, is when you walk on creep, do a scan, kill all of this, and make sure the creep is to push back the creep. This way it reduces what he can see. And also, Zerg units walk way faster on creep. We see here that he gets a movement speed bonus, movement speed bonus, movement speed bonus when on creep. So that will also make it much harder for the Zerg to reinforce if you kill his creep. And finally, the other thing you could learn is like doing minor attacks throughout, but that will require like me to talk about it separately. So I wouldn't worry too much about that until when I get the chance to take a look and see if there's a good build for when you can just make some early attacks. Because Zerg is actually really hard to combat if you don't attack them early. So I could look into giving you some builds where you can just make like some push at like 6 minutes, and then just keep aggro behind it. But the thing is, when you do that, the challenging thing is you have to make sure that while you're attacking, you're still producing back at home. And it will probably work because he will probably not be producing while you're attacking. So it's the more tricky part of macro. Right now you're just doing macro when nothing is happening, but it's going to be a lot trickier when you do macro in the middle of attacking. And that is probably the fourth thing that you can eventually get to work on once you master around like getting a good number at 9 minutes and just attacking, moving into him. And that's about then you will be gold, and then learning when to attack earlier will probably get you to platinum. So good luck and have fun.